Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about system requirements. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, as a software engineer, have you seen a system end up being completely different from the original set of requirements? Yes. Yes, I have. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. So this is something that happens fairly well. It's not, I wouldn't say often, because there's usually a thread between the things. Like, it's not like you decide that, oh well, we're gonna make, I don't know, a web application, and all of a sudden out on the other side comes like an embedded systems type of, like, or like or a mob. You don't really get from, oh, we are going to have a web app, to now we're going to make a specific Android application or something like that. Usually it can happen, of course, but it's not that common that's how radical the change is. It's usually more that when you do things well, you realize that certain approaches are not going to work for you, and so you adjust accordingly, which is sort of the idea of MVP and Agile and all these sorts of things, right? But when you do it poorly, it's usually the case that you have people who don't really understand how to get results, and they usually design a system or like a set of requirements based on their complete ignorance, usually, of how to do things well, and you end up with a lot of problems and blockers, and like the overall design of the system is fairly bad, which means that you have to make that all-time great decision that most software developers and architects and stakeholders and whoever, right, they don't really want to make that call, which is to just admit that you made a mistake and get someone who knows what they're doing to do things in a better way, right? And when you don't do that, usually you kind of just spearhead forward, and you create a situation where, as I also like to say, you create a problem in the backbone features. When you have a problem in the backbone features of a system, you immediately rot everything else that happens afterwards, which means that the original specification, you can just throw that out of the window, because you will never be able to fill it if the backbone features are not there. It's sort of like if you want to build a gigantic skyscraper. If you place your foundation on sand or on water or like in mud or something like that, that it does not matter what you want to build after that. This building is going to collapse, so you're going to have to like make special adjustments and all these sorts of things, right, in order to make that thing actually stable. And so when that happens, and trust me guys, this actually happens quite a lot, the end result will practically always be a subpar system, or a system where something happens that I probably hate more than anything else. And that is when you have to compromise on features and functionality of the system, not because it cannot be done, but because the people who created the system are incompetent. That's why. And that's why I think that, as I like to say, to me, the root of all evil is not money. Stupid people they are the root of all evil. Because no matter, like, good people, smart, well-meaning, effective people with money, they will do good things, and they will usually change the world for the better. Stupid people, doesn't matter if they have money or anything, like, they will always get in the way. They will always cause problems, regardless of what you give them, because you can't trust. They simply do not either understand or think in the same way as rational people who can effectively solve problems for whoever they're working for, right? And so when you give a stupid person any task, it doesn't matter if it's minor or major, the results is practically always going to be questionable. And the issue here, as I said, is that if that person is creating a situation where, unfortunately, I've been here many times. I probably created that situation at one point as well, I suspect. you create a situation where you build, as I was saying, the foundation, or like the first layers of, you make the first decisions of your skyscraper or whatever, right? And you do it in a poor way, or in a way where you sort of don't account for the bigger perspective or the bigger picture of what's going to happen, or maybe you don't even know, who knows. And then it turns out that your needs change a little bit, or there's some detail that you overlook, and that has a cascading effect where you realize that this thing that the first choices that were made have affected you in a way where you can't really continue working and do a good job without undoing the things that were already done, because they're so severe. A very concrete example of that happening is, imagine someone who styles an entire web page with CSS, and they use important on everything, or very specific selectors that kind of mutates the whole page, and they do a lot of that. So let's say you have hundreds and hundreds of selectors that are all very, very strongly specified, and then they want you to implement something that sort of changes the way that the design works, and you come to the realization that the only way for you to do this is to add more rules and make them important. You sort of have to perpetuate the problem forward, because you, in order for you to basically fix this, you have to fix or like redo the entire CSS layout of the system in a way that is more scalable. And that's when that big choice that most IT teams and departments and companies have to sort of make comes, which is, all right, can we take this shitty solution and still sort of make it work, and compromise and do tacticals and all these nice words that people use to sort of downplay the fact that they're failing at delivering what is required or requested, instead of redoing things, because redoing things is costly, and it comes back to that same thing that I always, as I said, it's the same damn thing every single time. If you have stupid people and you don't know what good people look like, smart people who can actually do the job, you're basically just throwing away millions on something, and then when it's time to fix it, well, all right, let's grab a few other millions and see if we can get it right this time. And you can repeat that process over and over until you find people who actually know what they're doing, or people who are not so dumb that they can't create like a sustainable solution, but most of the time they're gonna like create a sort of shitty solution. And so for me, this is why I tell people that if you want the system of your dreams, or if you want to build something that is high quality, it all starts with getting the right people. That is everything. It's literally everything. And I don't understand. I do understand. It's just I don't know. I don't know why we keep on getting here. Because I see companies who have, like, they keep on saying the same damn thing to me, and that is whenever I've been here 100 times before, where like they hire people without checking if they're good or bad. Like, oh no, yeah, but we need people, we need to scale up this project. And I go, yeah, you need to scale up the project, but if you don't get people who know what they're doing, this project is going to go to shit anyway. Yeah, but I have a head count, and like I need to do this thing because of budgets, and I'm like, yeah, I get all of the political stuff, I get all of the the deadlines and shit like that, but why are you hiring people who don't know what they're doing so that they can do a shitty job, so that you can say to your boss that you did it, and then it still doesn't work? It's literally the same thing that we software developers do when we like promise that it's going to be a quick fix, and we hack things together, we create real shit, and then we say to our stakeholder that yeah, it works, and they say, well, yeah, but it doesn't really work so well. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, that's just how it works. It's this weird situation where you sort of lose focus of what matters. What matters is that the thing is shipped in a sustainable, good way, so that it actually does bring the value that you need. And if you can't make that happen in the time that you have been given, then you should tell the person who is asking for it that there are certain ways we need to do this in order to make that happen. I mean, shit. If we do, this is sort of like, in a sense, I wish that we legislated some of this stuff, because imagine if the pharmaceutical companies ran their business. They did once upon a time. Imagine how many people died because there was a middle manager somewhere in the pharmaceutical industry who felt, yeah, you know what, we need to really get out this vaccine or like this cure for whatever really, really quickly, and I have to do it now because I need to staff this up and ship this thing because my career hangs in the balance, because my career is more important than actually, not killing 1,000 people. So what I want you to take away from this is that, yes, it's very, very often that specifications change, because it's usually the case that it's easier for you to change the scope of what you're building than it is to change code. Almost always. You can find that they will use terms like tactical things and strategic things, which is just different ways of them saying that we can't build the thing that we want in the time that we want, so we have to figure out a way to sort of say that we did a good job, but we actually failed at doing the thing that we wanted to. And 9 times out of 10, the reason why that happens is either because the people who made who planned the thing assumed that it was going to go faster, or like there's some, like they were looking at things in an idealistic way. They didn't know how the system worked. Like something came up that made the thing take longer, or more commonly, you have incompetent people. You can do these things. It's just that it requires very clever people, and that's why I tell people you have to understand that software development, just as football or sports or music or anything like that, it is a talent business. You cannot mass hire talent. I don't think there is no way to do it. And so that means that if you want to have like your high stake, really expensive, nice products to go really well, you need to account for the fact that you need top talent to do that, and you need a lot, even more time to find that top talent to do the work. If you half-ass it, if you just hire a bunch of like sort of persons who can sort of code, it's really hard to determine whether or not you're gonna get something good out at the end of it. That's at least my experience. Have a great day.